Vulture Capital firm Ace Aviation is dishing out $300 million to shareholders. Ace chief and former Air Canada CEO Robert Milton says the liquidation of Ace is the logical and consistent concluding step in the execution of this strategy. In other words, they're divvying up the loot. But the Avios workers were left holding the bag. Since 2004, Ace has returned $4.5 billion to shareholders. The cash came from the sale of former Air Canada assets like Jazz, Aeroplan, and Aveos, which did the heavy maintenance on Air Canada aircraft. Now, $4.5 billion is more than twice the deficit of the Air Canada pension plan, which has been the subject of hostage negotiations since 2004. In order to keep the plundered company afloat, Air Canada employees took billions in pay and benefits concessions. Meanwhile, CEOs lined up to mop up the gravy. Air Canada CEO Calin Rovinescu is about to pay himself a $5 million retention bonus for sweating it out for 3 whole years. No wonder no union has been able to ratify a deal at Air Canada. Avios workers used to be Air Canada workers until Avios was hived off and sold off to Ace. Then the Government of Canada signed an open skies deal with El Salvador, where a new company was set up to do Air Canada heavy maintenance. Guess where the jobs went? Now, 2,600 Canadians are out of work in Edmonton, Calgary, Trenton, Toronto, Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Montreal. And Air Canada jets are being maintained by Salvadorans for about 1/10 of the wages. When it comes to legislating Air Canada employees out of striking, Minister of Forced Labor Lisa Wright is on it. But when CEOs fleece and flee, well, she can't regulate that. Last Friday, Air Canada workers held a cross-country wildcat strike after 3 employees were suspended for applauding rat rape through YYZ. Last week, the Montreal riot squad tear-gassed Avios workers off the street they were occupying. But it's gonna get uglier than that. Once the bandits make good their getaway, Air Canada will likely face bankruptcy. This will be the pretext for creating a non-union, unpensioned, low-cost carrier. The Avios employees were the canaries. Air Canada workers will be the mass casualties. The Canadian cautionary tale of privatization and globalization is called Air Canada. Like Canadian banks, it was once the envy of the world. Now, deregulated, privatized, and pillaged, it's the workplace of bitterness. If this government gave a rat's ass about workers, 500 at Electromotive would still be on the job, and Caterpillar would have been driven to the border in cuffs. If this government gave a flying fuck about the economy, it would enforce the Air Canada Public Participation Act and require Air Canada to patronize Avios. The net benefit of that legislation was that Air Canada keep maintenance bases open in Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Montreal. But apparently, there just has to be somebody left to turn off the lights. So get used to the smell of tear gas in the morning. It only hurts if you ain't already crying. In Toronto, for Rabble TV, I'm Umberto da Silva, not Rex Murphy.